The arrival of heavy frost at the start of winter meant we could begin to prepare ourselves to harvest one of our larger pigs on the next cold front. Our first priority was to clear out the freezer as much as possible, which meant removing all of our frozen autumn harvested tomatoes to begin making and bottling passata, a plain tomato sauce that we could use over the hungry gap in winter and spring in our stews, curries and pasta sauces. After a day of defrosting on the bench, many of the tomatoes were ready to be immediately turned into sauce. However, some still remained quite frozen, and we separated these, placing them in large pots on top of our wood-fired stove.
So I'm very grateful to have an inside job at the moment. Winter is here, but back in spring we harvested, as you can see, an enormous amount of tomatoes. We put in a quarter of our garden actually in tomato vines, and boy did it deliver. We did deal with quite a few, but we decided to pop a few in the freezer. Well, we decided to pop 3/4 of them in the freezer and come back to it here in the winter time when, to be honest, you don't really want to be outside. Even though it's not quite as cold here where we are in Australia as say some places in the northern hemisphere where you guys might be watching. I mean, it doesn't get down to -40 or anything like that here. But you know, why be out there in the rain and the mud if I don't absolutely have to? So Pascal's gone to do a few chores of her own. So I'm just going to bring these to a bit of heat. There's a bit of mush going on because they've been in the freezer. We didn't need to put too much heat into blanching them, softening them further. We're running them through a moulie. This is a moulie here that we're using. We're running it through a moulie, and what that does is it separates the pulp that we want to keep from the seeds and the skins that we don't want to keep. After we've got that, then we're going to just have to reduce it down, and then we'll show you a method that we favour for preserving it. And it's not our original method. We know that the Italians and the Greeks of Western Australia know a thing or two about preserving tomatoes, so we actually pinched the idea off them. But it's very, very handy, and it's, as you would expect, it's quite economical, so we'll deal with it that way. It's surprising how little waste there is from this product. I mean, the skins and the seeds, they don't really take up too much volume. I do have a bucket there waiting for any leftovers to go to the pigs. So we're not really concerned about having any waste as pig owners. So earlier on, Pascal separated the still frozen product. It's still really cold here in the laundry, so only half of it defrosted. So I'm dealing with the half that's defrosted now. I've just quickly blanched it, and we've got 2 more pots that are waiting. I think they're just about soft, so we'll be able to bring them in. All right, well that's enough rambling about this stage. I'll just keep going. I'll separate these skins and seeds, and then we'll see what Pascal has to say about the next step. I'm just doing the grunt work as you'd expect.
I went out for 2 hours and I've come back and ta-da! Troy's done all of the work, so I'm very lucky, and it looks fantastic. And it's actually a pretty good thickness. So we're just gonna let it simmer a little bit just to reduce a bit more of that water, but a lot of the water got poured away from the freezing process. Like when they defrosted, there was a lot of that liquid from the tomatoes. The cells broke down and all that water got poured away. So we've mainly got pulp here. So we're gonna be able to bottle this real soon and put it away. And we can pull out tomatoes, canned tomatoes, whenever we need them. That Morley did a fantastic job of extracting the seeds and the skins. That's all that's left from like 40 kilos of tomatoes. Pretty impressive. I think the pigs are going to enjoy this, and we might actually get some tomato plants popping up in the pasture. We'll see. The day's been slightly set back by dirty bottles. I didn't check them yesterday. We got these from a friend. He said they were pretty clean, and then I started cleaning them and they were full of all sorts of different slime, dirt, various things. Some of them look like a kid's school project. So yeah, they're getting a good scrub. They're getting like 2 washes, and then they're getting a rinse with a sanitizer. We're using like Star San, which we use for our brewing. These are what beer comes in Australia, Cooper's beer. So we're going to be using these for bottling up the tomato passata. It's a very common thing for Italian families in Australia to use these to bottle up their tomato passata. Just put a cap on them with the capping machine and put them in a water bath, and we're going to boil them for 45 minutes to sterilise them and preserve them. Now we've got maybe the 20 litres of canning jars left behind me, but I don't want to use those. I want to use them for pressure canning and for more high value food, so we're using these free bottles to bottle up our tomatoes. Feel good about that one. Yes. 20 more to go. Got the other cow or not?
No, I'll put all the bottles on this one first.
Okay. Oh yes, lock it in with the crate.
Yep.
Stuffing rags around the bottles to make sure they don't jiggle around when the water starts boiling, because it's going to be a rolling boil for 45 minutes in there. We don't want them breaking. That's better. Oh yeah, they're locked in now. We brought the bottles to a rolling boil for 45 minutes and then turned off the heat and allowed them to cool for an hour or so before removing them back into the milk crates to cool.
Move him along there.
That's it.
22.
That should keep us going till next summer.
That definitely takes up a lot less space.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit of a mess. So these trees out here in the paddock, a lot like any tree in any paddock, they haven't had any competition to race for the sun, so they've spread out. So we've got 2 clumps of blue gums on the property, and they do actually give pretty good shelter for animals, for our pigs. But they do another thing. They cast a lot of shade here on the pasture that we're trying to develop. So what we're going to do is we'll remove a couple of trees that are crossing and in competition. Everyone else will be happier as a result. They're a bit overcrowded at the moment, and I want to bring that foliage up. I want to have the high canopy so we still get shade in summer, but the low angle sun in the winter I would really like, instead of that bottom block being so shaded, you know, like as it moves across it shades our block all day. I'd like the sun to penetrate so we can actually get a bit of winter and spring growth. But leave those blocks there because I do want to fence them, and then we're going to have a central pen for our pigs, and then we can do rotational paddocks off those, and they'll be much easier to manage than what's happening at the moment. Just a little bit of property improvement. All right, we're going to make those trees look a little bit better, and hopefully we'll give this whole area a bit of a park look to it. There's some younger trees that are growing just in here. We'll take those out. All of this dead wood that's down here, I'll bring a trailer in. We'll cut that up into firewood rounds straight away, and we'll be able to utilise that. All of that dead wood I'll probably actually just bring a trailer in and take it out. Wood's quite important for us for heating. In the winter time, like we've got solar hot water on our house roof, but because we're so in close to the bush and the trees here are so massive, like 30 metres, 40 metres, no, not 40 metres, I lie. 30 metres, but they're quite close. We don't get any winter sun. Even if we had solar electric, we'd be in real trouble actually, because the house is in shade all through the winter. Don't worry about in summer, we get plenty of sun, but then it's nice and hot. So this wood is quite valuable to us. It keeps the house warm, but it heats our water. No electricity is needed to heat our water, no gas. So that's a huge saving in energy and of course money. So there we go. So all of this is a really good resource and we want to save it. What looked to be a fairly straightforward job turned into a bit of a tangle. This tree had started to fall, but when it stopped, I couldn't quite see what the problem was. On further inspection, I could see that one of the branches up in the canopy had locked with another tree. I nibbled away a little bit more of the holding wood and then went to find myself a safe vantage point, cross my fingers and hope for the best. One of the greatest dangers when you're working with eucalypts is not the thick trunk itself, but falling limbs. And you can see that for many of these trees, my attention is very much upwards. Some of the trees in this stand had quite a dramatic lean. These trees are dangerous and they take a special technique so that they don't barber chair, but all the same, when they go quick.
There's a big cauliflower. We definitely need to harvest it now. It's starting to go a little bit pink and a little bit brown. So it managed to get through a couple of weeks of frost. So I'm pleased that it is what it is, and we've got to get it out of the ground. If we leave it in any longer, it's probably going to flower or bolt or something. Or go bad. Oh, it's not too bad. Pretty good. Time to harvest another kohlrabi.
Can they just twist?
No. Oh, you think I can just pull the whole thing out? Oh yeah, you're right. Troy knows. Kohlrabi.
Ooh, hello Chinese cabbage. There we go. We'll leave a little bit of space here, and I'm sure Pascal will fill that up with carnations or some other flower. Everything's grown enormous. This is so heavy. We'll get rid of some of this to the pigs, I think.
Yeah, pigs like it.
Some of that outer leaf. Great. This has been a really productive winter garden.
Yeah.
Better than I expected. Good morning. How is everyone this morning? Well, look at that. We've something a little bit different. We've got some rabbits. We were thinking about getting some bees, but this opportunity came along. So the guys at Fletcher Small Space Urban Garden reached out to us. They've been sort of showcasing what can be done in a very small space, and while they don't really have a presence on YouTube that I can direct you to, but they've certainly got a presence on Instagram. So we can put a little link on the screen, but we'll also put a link in the description if you want to go check out what they're all about, because as you can see here, when I went out to visit them to pick up these rabbits, they really had an incredible garden going on, massive food production. I think they were making a lot of friends. they would certainly have had to have given it away, but they could easily support their family out there. Their circumstances were changing, and so they're going from a small space to a larger space. If you want to follow them on Instagram, you can sort of follow that journey as they go. It's probably going to be a lot of work for them, but it should be pretty interesting. But the upshot is that they couldn't take their bunnies with them. So they've donated the rabbits to us, and also they very kindly gave us these cages. So these are just standard dog crates, but they've been wired together. I was looking on the Australian rabbitry guidelines put out by the welfare people, and they were just saying the square metres that rabbits really need is about 0.74 metres squared. So this meets this. They can stand up, they can stretch, and they can walk around. So that works out pretty well. It's a little bit unusual how I've set this up. I haven't put a framework or stand or anything like this. It's really cheap and simple what I've done. It's just wire at the corners, suspended from the roof, and I've wired it back to the top hat at the back of the shed. So it is really quite stable, but that arrangement means we can just chuck straw straight on here on the dirt floor and hook it out for the garden, or there's a worm farm just over here to my right. So we've got the male rabbit here in the middle. We've got the two ladies on either side. I actually put this one, Jezebel. She went in yesterday, and the mating happened, well, fairly quickly because they're rabbits. And we're about to put Roxy Rabbit over there. She's going to go in, and we'll see if we can get a little courtship. And then in 31 days, hopefully, we'll have some baby rabbits, and we're going to put them out on pasture just like we did with the chooks. We'll see if she's interested. I've made it so that their food containers is actually on the door, makes it easier to fill. These rabbits aren't that motivated to escape. They're actually pretty calm. Hang on. So there we go. These are I'm pretty sure I remember correctly. Hopefully I'm not wrong. These are a Flemish giant mixed with New Zealand whites. New Zealand whites, the name's a bit of a misnomer. They were actually developed in California. So these are a meat rabbit, but at the moment they're pretty cute and fluffy. What do you think?
He seems keen.
He does seem keen, so we'll go around there and we'll pop her in. Watch out for you. Oh, he's on top.
No, he's not coming.
Oh, it's so quick.
You're done. What did you think about that, Roxy?
She's waiting.
So there we go, Felix. That was 2 times in 20 seconds. He's a bit of a high performance machine, old Felix. So that's about it. We can take Roxy, put her back in her cage, and in 31 days, that's the gestation period for rabbits. She should be giving birth to anywhere between 7 to 10 kittens. Hopefully, there's not too much mortality. So that's pretty much it for rabbit love. Well, I'm pretty happy with that spacing at the moment. We've taken out the trees that were really crowding it out. We're getting really great airflow. We are getting some low light. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, so it's not a finished job, and the reason being is it's still incredibly wet. So I can't get a machine for much of the paddock. I don't want to chew it up at the moment and pug it and really do any damage. So I'm going to wait till just after spring to get in there. We did score a bunch of future firewood, and we've put that aside there. You can see here that we've stacked it, so later on I'll be cutting that into rounds and splitting it, but for the moment it's just stockpiled. So the only thing left to do really, when it dries out and I'm not going to get rained on, is I might actually climb up the tree and just nick out some of the lower branches, and that's really just to neaten it up. But I'm really happy. Like I said, we're getting much better airflow. We are getting some low light coming through. But in the summer, I'm anticipating with that canopy that we're still going to get that high shade. The paddock is looking really, really good. The winter rains and that little bit of extra filtered light, we've got pretty fantastic coverage. The pigs were in here, they smashed all this down, and already it's almost ready for them to come back, but they've got some more work to do in the other paddock, so we won't talk any more about the pigs. So there we go. It's a pretty successful job so far. I'm looking forward to getting it done when things dry up.
Thanks everyone for watching this week. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to maintain weekly releases for the coming couple of months, as we are expecting our new little one any day now. So thanks for your understanding, and we look forward to sharing with you the great news. If you enjoyed the video, thanks for hitting the like button, and if you're new here, thanks also for subscribing. It really helps us out. Alright, see you at the next one.